Miss Sarah Sutton.
Somebody's left their pair of glasses.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Whooverville. And if we just give a warm round of applause for Miss Sarah Sutton, please.
Thank you.
I found, when I was doing a little bit of research, I found out that you were the youngest actress to play Alice, BBC's Alice Through the Looking Glass.
Yes.
How did that kind of go down? What sort of memories? Do you have many memories of doing
I was 12 when I played Alice. It was a production for the BBC, and times have changed because when I did Alice, they were set on doing it with colour separation overlay, which is when you have a blue screen behind and they do that sort of magic with it. That is so obsolete, completely obsolete as a technical thing. So, but they were very excited about it at the time because it was going to be the first full-length production of using that technology, apart from the very beginning and end scenes where Alice is in her sitting room playing with the kittens. My agent sent me for the audition for that, and the director, a really lovely man called James Fitztaggart, who subsequently actually got a BAFTA for something else that he'd done. He was a lovely, lovely man. And he chose me for the part of Alice, which is interesting because I didn't think I looked particularly like how people imagine Alice to be. But he stuck with me, and yeah, I'm very pleased he did.
And was working with the CSO, was that a challenge? Particularly, because I've watched a little bit of it.
Yes. No, not once you get used to it, you learn to accept it. But it was a fantastic production in so much that we had the most wonderful cast. Freddie Jones as Humpty Dumpty, Brenda Bruce, Judy Parfitt, Geoffrey Baildon as the White Knight. And every time I hear that poem that the White Knight says, I remember even as a 12-year-old standing in the studio when we were recording it, tears. And if I hear it now, sitting on a gate, that really lovely poem. It does, I find it very emotional. But we had a fantastic cast, we were very lucky.
Yeah, I think it was out. Was it Christmas time?
It was Christmas Day. It was the
Christmas Day.
BBC Christmas Day.
Right.
And I don't think you can get hold of it now.
No, because I kind of had a look and I thought, well, you can get it in America, but it's not available over here. It was, but it's no.
That's a real shame. I did wonder actually if the BBC had deleted it because they do that occasionally, delete a whole load of stuff, old stuff. So it's nice to know it might still be out there somewhere.
Yeah. And had you wanted to be an actress? Was that something that you kind of set out?
Not really. I went to a little school. The only thing I was really any good at was sort of basically farting about dancing and just, I was not academic, let's put it that way. And when the school closed down, my mum was quite concerned about where I would go to school after that, and my ballet teacher then said, well actually she's not bad at dancing, she ought to try an audition for Elmhurst Ballet School. My parents had never heard of it, but I went along for the audition, and I was the youngest pupil to go there. The artistic director at the time was a woman called Bridget Espinosa, who was the one woman I've met that completely changed my life, because if it hadn't been for her and she hadn't accepted me at Elmhurst, I don't know what I would have ended up doing, because the school had an agent, and so she became my agent because I was at that school. And it was because of that that I got the part as Baby Roo when I was 9 at the Phoenix Theatre in Tottenham Court Road, in a musical version of Winnie the Pooh, and Julian Slade had written the music. And I was very lucky to do that, so I kind of fell into it in that respect. It wasn't something I particularly planned on doing, it just happened.
Right. I noticed you did something which probably some people might remember, also called the Moon Stallion.
Oh yes, yeah, lovely.
Well, which
yes.
You played, I seem to remember, a blind girl.
I did, yes.
Was that a challenge to do that?
It is a challenge, and in fact my mum very kindly got in touch with the local blind society where I grew up, and I was introduced to a lady there who had been blind since birth, and I just chatted to her a little bit and watched how she moved around and how she negotiated her way around meeting people and using things in her home. And that was really interesting. And I do remember having terrible eye